The in-season tournament was definitely met with some skepticism when it was introduced this year, but honestly, I think it's been a good addition to the NBA season. Obviously, people won't and shouldn't get as excited about these games as the actual playoffs, but to host these games on Tuesdays and Fridays in November, where there isn't much else happening in the sports world, it does generate a little extra excitement for the NBA. I went to the Knicks vs Hornets game on Tuesday night, and when it was announced that LaMelo Ball would miss the game, I was a little worried it would be a snooze fest. This is already a bad team that's now missing their best player. But the Knicks crowd was still really into the game even when we were up by a lot, because they knew we had to run up the score on the Hornets if we wanted to clinch a berth in the in-season tournament. It was fun. It was like when you're playing 2K against your friend, and you're up 15 with a minute left, but you're still tryharding to beat him by as much as possible. We also saw this in the Bulls vs Celtics game. Since the Magic had already finished their games, the Celtics knew they had to beat the Bulls by at least 24 points in order to qualify for the knockout round. So up by 29, Joe Mazzulla started employing the hack-a-Drummond strategy. That's something you would never see a team do normally when they're up 29 points. The tiebreaker with point differential is really fun, and it definitely made for some confusing scenarios on how teams could qualify for the knockout round. Overall, I'm excited for the knockout stage of the tournament when it begins next week. We have the bracket, so in this video, I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on each game in the knockout stage and tell you who's going to Vegas and who's going to win the first ever NBA Cup. The first game, on Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, is the East's 2 and 3 seeds, the Indiana Pacers and the Boston Celtics. The Pacers had already qualified for the knockout round as they went 4-0 in group play. And as I mentioned earlier, the Celtics had a bit of a tougher time. They had to beat the Bulls by at least 24 points, and yes, the Bulls are bad, but it's hard to beat an NBA team by that much. Still, they got the job done, so here we are. The last time these two teams met up, the Boston Celtics scored 155 points and won by 51. Not a great look for the Pacers. The Pacers have the offense to keep up with almost any team in the NBA. Tyrese Halliburton is perfect for the run-and-gun offense the Pacers have been running. He's also got some good running mates with Buddy Hield shooting, Miles Turner and his ability to shoot from range and go inside, Benedict Mathurin, etc. However, their defense leaves a lot to be desired. They have some good defenders like Miles Turner and Bruce Brown, but teams have gotten really good at exposing a perimeter mismatch when they have it against Buddy Hield or Obi Toppin. So how are they going to defend Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum? Add on to that Kristaps Porzingis can stay with Miles Turner stride for stride. I don't see how the Celtics lose this game. They should easily take the win and advance to Vegas for the semifinals. The second game, Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern, is the West's 2 and 3 seeds, the Sacramento Kings versus the New Orleans Pelicans. The Sacramento Kings had to claw their way into the in-season tournament. Down 9 points against the Warriors in the fourth quarter, they needed a win to advance. The Kings took the lead with 6 minutes left in the quarter, but the Warriors fought back to go up 121 to 115 with a minute and a half left. And honestly, I thought that was it. But a De'Aaron Fox 3, a Steph Curry turnover, and 2 incredibly clutch shots by Malik Monk got them the 124 to 123 win and a berth in the knockout stage of the tournament. The Warriors needed to win by at least 12 in order to advance to the knockout round, and you have to wonder if that played a role in some sloppy play in the final minutes, trying to extend that lead, which ultimately cost them the game as well. Meanwhile, the Pelicans were Dallas Mavericks fans for a day. They would win Group B with the Rockets' loss, else the Rockets would qualify as they had the head-to-head tiebreaker against the Pelicans. It was a close game, but the Mavericks clutched up the win, allowing the Pelicans to advance as the Group B winner. After a very slow start to the season, the Sacramento Kings have been red hot. In fact, after starting 2 and 4, the Kings have only lost 2 games. Funnily enough, those 2 games both happen to be against the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans are a tough matchup for them, the Kings are not a great defensive team, and they certainly don't have the pieces to keep up with both Zion and Brandon Ingram. However, De'Aaron Fox has proven to me that he turns it up when there's an important game to be played. And on top of that, it seems like the Kings are clicking right now, getting great play from Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk, and obviously their 2 stars. I doubt the Pelicans get the best of the Kings 3 times in 2 weeks, so I think the Kings will emerge from this game victorious. Game number 3, Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, is the East's top seed versus the wild card, the Milwaukee Bucks versus the New York Knicks. The Bucks automatically qualified by beating the Heat on Tuesday night and getting to a 4-0 record in group play. If the Heat would have won against the Bucks, all three of the Bucks, Heat, and Knicks would have been 3-1, and the tiebreakers would have gone really messy, but I don't want to get into that. The Knicks destroyed the Hornets on Tuesday and easily snagged the East wildcard spot by having the highest point differential out of any of the non-group winners. And this is going to be a really good game. Although the Bucks are 3-0 in their last 3 meetings against the Knicks, the average margin of victory has been just 5 points. The Bucks really struggle at defending elite guards, and Jalen Brunson will take advantage. In their 5-point in-season tournament loss to the Bucks this year, Jalen Brunson scored 45 points. In that game, Julius Randle also shot 5 for 20 from the field and 5 for 9 from the free throw line. And I get that Julius Randle isn't a 60% from the field kind of guy, but that is an anomaly even for him. The Knicks match up pretty well with the Bucks, all things considered. Quentin Grimes, Josh Hart, and RJ Barrett will make it so that Damian Lillard will never get a break from a good perimeter defender. And Mitchell Robinson is a frontrunner for Defensive Player of the Year and is a great player to defend Giannis at the rim. Randle is also very strong and can help Mitch build a wall around Giannis. Obviously, tossing theory aside, the Bucks still have Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you can't forget about Chris Middleton either. It's going to be a scrappy defensive battle between these two teams, but I think the New York Knicks will emerge victorious and move on to the semifinals. The last game of the quarterfinals, Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, will see the top-seeded Lakers going against the West's wildcard, the Phoenix Suns. And this is going to be must-see television. Kevin Durant versus LeBron James in an elimination game, assuming Kevin Durant is healthy. He should be healthy though, as of this recording, he is questionable to play Wednesday against the Toronto Raptors. The Lakers had a stress-free qualification to the knockout stage as they went 4-0 in their group play games and advanced last Friday. The Suns were also done with their games going into Tuesday. They just had to have the best point differential of any other 3-1 teams in the Western Conference that didn't win their group. The way the slate of games unfolded on Tuesday, there was only one other 3-1 team in the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they had a much better point differential, so they got the wild card berth to go to the knockout stage. Unfortunately for the Phoenix Suns, it does not appear Bradley Beal will be ready to go for this game, but fingers crossed Devin Booker and Kevin Durant should be ready to go. And even with the injuries, the Suns are now on a 7-game winning streak as of Wednesday morning. As I mentioned in my Power Rankings video, check that out if you haven't already, Grayson Allen and especially Eric Gordon have been playing great basketball during this winning streak. The Lakers have also played good basketball over the last few weeks, but just got curb stomped by the 76ers on Monday, a 44-point loss. They have been missing quite a few bench pieces for a little bit, like Gabe Vincent, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, and Cam Reddish, but most of them appear to be returning in the near future. These are two good teams going at it, and at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the LeBron James versus Kevin Durant matchup. Devin Booker will get his buckets as he's going to be primary defended by Cam Reddish and Austin Reeves, but Anthony Davis is going to dominate inside with the Suns' porous interior defense. Whichever one of those two will play better is going to get the win, and I'm going to bank on some LeBron James elimination game magic and the Lakers getting the close win. So that means in the East semifinals I have the Celtics versus the Knicks, and in the West semifinals I have the Kings versus the Lakers. I'm not going to go super in depth into these matchups as they're purely hypothetical, but I will still give you my predictions so I can make a complete bracket. Keep in mind the semifinals and finals will both be played in Vegas at a neutral site. Starting out in the Eastern Conference, the Celtics and Knicks will play each other for the 3rd time this year. The Celtics are everything the Knicks struggle against. First of all, they are a great on-ball defensive team on the perimeter. Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum all defend well from the perimeter, and that's going to make things very hard for Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett. Secondly, there's a very imposing big man in Kristaps Porzingis that will deter shots in the paint, which is the strength of the Knicks offense. And obviously, the Celtics also have a lot of options on offense. The Knicks are very good at locking down a few offensive options, but get overwhelmed when a team has as many options as the Celtics. The one huge thing the Knicks have on the Celtics, though, is their bench. The Celtics bench is really weak, while the Knicks have Emmanuel Quickley, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and Isaiah Hartenstein coming off of their bench. I think the Knicks will keep it close with their bench, but this is an elimination game, and with many of the Celtics starters probably playing between 35 and 40 minutes, the Celtics will sneak out a win. And in the Western Conference, the Los Angeles Lakers will play the Sacramento Kings. Little known fact for you guys, Anthony Davis has actually never beaten Domantas Sabonis in his career. 8-0 in 8 games against Anthony Davis, and somehow Sabonis ends up defending AD pretty well. In the 3 games since Sabonis was a King and AD a Laker, AD has averaged 21 points on 46% from the field, while Sabonis has averaged 21 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists on 64% shooting. This game will once again come down to the matchup of LeBron James and De'Aaron Fox, but in this one, the Lakers' luck runs out. Domantas Sabonis stays perfect against Anthony Davis, and the Kings advance to the NBA Cup Finals. So then, in the first ever NBA Cup, the Boston Celtics will play the Sacramento Kings. Fox and Sabonis are amazing, the team is playing well, they've beaten the Timberwolves, they've beaten the Thunder, but they have not faced a team operating on all cylinders like the Celtics yet. In an elimination game setting, you do not want to go up against a team as stacked as the Celtics. And while it should be a good game, the Celtics will lift that first NBA Cup and give everyone on the team a nice little payday. And again, I have to say, the timing of this tournament is great. By the time this is ending, we'll be approaching postseason football, which will keep us sports fans occupied until the first week of February. If you want to stay up to date with basketball and football, make sure to subscribe to the channel as we try to upload 2 videos a week at minimum. Like, subscribe, all that jazz, blah blah blah. Until next time, bye bye.